Hello mech fans and welcome to the Valhalla Club. Grab yourself a Timbeaky Dark, set up that paint booth, open that spreadsheet, and join us as we talk all things BattleTech.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Valhalla Club podcast. I'll be your bartender tonight. Zach the Mecha Maniac or Zemer. Either works. How are we doing, guys? Been a hot minute since we talked.
Exactly 1 minute. So, yes, Northman checking in. All good here.
Ben, how are you doing? You've recovered from Gen Con?
Yep, recovered from Gen Con and moved on. So
Excellent. And how are you doing, Mike? Staying dry?
Staying dry and enjoying the fall weather.
Excellent. So what brings us here all today? We are talking about campaigns again. Specifically the Mech Warriors box set and Hotspots Hinterlands.
It's true.
So, yeah. So I have a question for you guys. Have you had any experience with either of these, the box set or Hinterlands?
I have started a Hinterlands campaign with my two sons, and I've played both Op 4 for each of them, kind of. So I've got two sons. I played against one son, I played against another son, and then I also have my own force that I've played against them. So the Op 4 was just like based on their force, but then when I played my own force, then it's kind of like, player versus player at that point. So that's my experience. We played probably about two full contracts. Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Nice. So that's about like 3 or 4 games, right?
Yeah. I think it was either 4 or 5 missions total.
4 or 5 missions. All right. Well, that's a great place to start. Ben, you got any experience with this?
yeah. Other than I played Op 4 for a group that was playing Hinterlands campaigns, so I did that a couple games for them, just popping in. So that's about as far as I got to, and then reading through the book.
So you just hopped in for more or less a pickup game and played the Op 4.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty cool. And then, Mike, have you had any experience with the Hinterlands?
No, I don't have the book or the PDF. I haven't even opened my Mercenary box, man. I grabbed that over a year ago. It's still in the garage.
Well,
unpacking from moving is slow, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, you picked that up as you were leaving home and heading up north.
Yeah, I was super excited about that. And then after being here for a few months, I took inventory of everything. It was all here, and then I put it back in the garage.
All right. Well, as we discuss everything today, I definitely want to know what your thoughts are on Hinterlands and the Merc box set. So, before we get into the main metal, though, I do want to make a shout out to the podcast sponsor, Aries Games and Minis. I've seen recently with Derek and his recent stock, they've been getting a lot of restocks from places like Fighting Piranha, Graphics, Ironwind Metals. I've been checking a lot of those Ironwind Metals. I didn't even realize we had some of the new sculpts. I don't know why it flew under my radar, but things like the new Awesome are all in metal and on their website. There's also a few other new products that have came in from other third party, not necessarily exclusively BattleTech, but I think it's definitely worth a look. And I know a few things are sitting in my they're sitting in my cart waiting for the next paycheck. So
yeah, I've always have in my inbox the notice like, you left items in your Aries Games and Minis shopping cart. That's a pretty consistent thing because it just builds up until I'm like, okay, ready to pay for shipping now. So that's how it goes. There's plenty of stuff to buy there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a few vendors I'll wait till there's like $100 or more worth of product in there, because when the shipping's like a flat $10 fee or something, you want to get the most bang for your buck. All right.
As we're approaching holiday season, keep an eye out. Derek always has some really good Black Friday stuff going on too. Or like any order, what is it? Typically, any order over $100 free shipping anywhere in the US. I think that's what it usually is, right?
Something like that. I think the amount, the threshold amount can change each year, but I think that's the deal that it's been is like whatever the threshold is, anything above that, free shipping in the US.
And it's so easy to meet that threshold. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah,
there's no shortage.
Yeah, box sets being over $20 now. It's like, hey, you get like a company of mechs and maybe a metal mini. Well, there's $100 gone. All right. So on to the main metal today. So we'll start with how do you play the Chaos campaign, Mercenary box set, or the Hinterlands? First, what's the difference? Because last month we were talking about Chaos campaign Secession Wars, correct?
Yes.
All right. Something of note, I believe it was brought up during the episode a little bit, but at least in my opinion, I felt Secession Wars was more geared towards player versus GM, where you always have the GM. The GM could be a static force that's tracked, but oftentimes you could run it as a force that just kind of gets beat up and then, recoups after every mission. The Mercenaries box set in Hinterlands is more focused towards a player versus player experience, but is absolutely toolable for that player versus GM style. I myself have been playing the Hinterlands a lot as GM, so it definitely works. Some new things to bring up, though, with this Mercenary box set, if everybody remembers the Kickstarter that came out, that we all eventually got, hopefully. There was a lot of focus with that last Kickstarter with vehicles and such. And the reason for that is with this new Chaos campaign, we got a new version of Battlefield support. I say a new version because some values kind of changed a little bit, but overall, you still have your old assets like aerospace attacks, off-board artillery, minefields, all that's still around. However, we got a new type of battlefield support, and that's assets, which includes vehicle, infantry, emplacements. I might be missing a few there, but in general, assets are a game piece that you could put on the board and you command on your side during a game. You guys following with me?
Heck yeah. I like the addition of the assets instead of just the strikes. It allows some greater flexibility with what you're using on the board without but we'll talk more about it. But I do like the addition of these BSPs along with the strikes that were already there.
Yeah. So continuing on, just to explain more of what assets are, we do have some examples here that we'll bring up, and even the books explain how assets work. But I'm going to try to make the rundown as quick as possible. But we have assets that deploy and move first based on your initiative. So whatever assets you bring, whether that be VTOLs, tanks, hovercraft, infantry, they're always going to move before your main force. Your main force being your mechs. There are optional rules where you could take more than just mechs, but we'll maybe get there later. But for now, assets always deploy and move first. So they kind of lose initiative to the big guys, the stars of the show. Both players will have assets. They'll move and deploy based on their initiative. Emplacements do not count towards movement. So if there's any sort of case, you're still going to use like proportional movement. So if your opponent brings one tank and you have 3 tanks, emplacements on either side aren't going to throw those numbers off. You're still going to have to use proportional movement, however which way you want to do that. Movement for assets is always treated as running unless they are a jumping unit or an emplacement. If it's an emplacement, it's treated as immobile. Jumping, it's included on the TMM on the card, and assets will always have the same TM as long as they move 1 hex during their turn. It's very simple. It's very simple and similar to how Alpha Strike treats their movement and TMM values. You'll see a lot of parity between Alpha Strike movement restrictions and the assets. So any Alpha Strike players are going to be able to pick up easily on that. And even classic players, it's most of the common things. Hovercraft can't go in woods. Infantry can't go in water. Stuff like that. Level changes, if you're not familiar with how vehicles work, long-time classic players are going to be familiar with this, but assets, things like vehicles, infantry, can only ascend 1 level when they move 1 level per hex. Mechs, on the other hand, can ascend 2 levels. It's one of the main differences. Mechs are just more mobile. The only assets that will ignore this restriction is jumping units and VTOLs.
Is that listed? So these assets, they come on little cards that are almost like Alpha Strike cards, right? So are those things listed on the cards, or are you just supposed to know that as part of your knowledge of the rules?
All these stats are going to be listed on the rules, on the cards, and nice. More rules are going to be available. I think I'll just pull up real quick the patent tank that I shared with you guys. Mm-hmm. Just a stock patent tank. It's going to have, the first values you're going to see that. Top left is the battlefield support point value of the card. It's how much you spend for the unit. There are always 2 values there. You know what? I shouldn't say always. There is typically 2 values there, because the lighter, the white number is the regular skill value, and the grayed out number is the veteran skill value. Veteran's always going to be more expensive. If you look on the card, you'll see the skill value. You have a skill 6 or a skill 5. That just represents your veteran versus your regular. The card's also going to include your movement points. So this is expressed in hexes. A patent tank, the stock variant, is going to have 4T. So it can move 4 hexes. It has tracked movement. So tracked movement, it just follows the normal rules for tracked. It is going to be listed in both the Mercenary box and Hotspot Hinterlands what terrain is restricted by what movement type. Your TMM is always going to be a +1. That's expressed on the card. Your ranges are also expressed on the card with your damage. These are just a single value. The patent tank, I can't remember the full loadout off the top of my head, but it's something like an AC-10, LRM, basic tank stuff. But you don't have separate range brackets for that autocannon and the LRM. It's all expressed together. So for the card here, it defaults to the sum of its parts, and it says the range is 5, 10, 15. 5 for short, medium 10, long 15. And your damage is just a flat 10 damage. It's a 1 lump sum of damage to a single location when this unit fires. Additionally, the last value that's on here, other than the specials, is going to be your check. Your check is the health, I'll say, of your vehicle. Each unit has a check number and a threshold. The threshold is the amount of damage you have to meet or beat in order to cause a check against a unit. Now, the patent tank, because it's a tank, it's sturdy and has staying power. It has a check of 11. To make the check, you're going to roll 2d6. Now, there are modifiers you could get to this roll. Say you do more than 21 damage on the tank, it's going to be a plus to your roll. You are only ever going to make one destruction check every round per asset. So, say a bunch of dudes have shot at this tank, you're just going to add up all their damage and you're going to see what the modifier is. You roll once. If you can meet or beat 11, the patent tank is destroyed. If, say, you roll under that number and you can't meet that check, your check is reduced by 1. And that becomes the value for the rest of the game till you check again. And then when you check again against the unit, say it's the patent tank, it now has a check of 10. You're going to have to meet or beat 10. If you beat or meet 10, the tank's destroyed. If not, it gets reduced once more at the end of that round.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, I don't know if anyone's played, I think it's Flames of War, which is like a World War II kind of game with tanks and stuff. I think they have this same mechanic, and that's what it reminded me of, this system where you have a threshold, and then once you pass the threshold, then you make a check for just destruction. There's no like taking pips off or anything. It's just you're still there or you're not there anymore. So I think it reminds me of that.
Yeah, I know of a couple of local guys who do play Flames of War, but I haven't had a chance to sit down with them and actually play that game. So moving on from the assets, that's going to be a good chunk of your play experience if you want to experiment with that stuff. Just about like with every play system in BattleTech, you can put in and take out what you choose. So you and your opponent, you might not even choose to take assets for your campaigns. You might just want to opt to taking all strikes, and that's totally fine. That's really just up to you and your personal preference. I think personally, assets are a nice way to incorporate and introduce people to vehicles, just to get them on the table outside of Alpha Strike. I think even Alpha Strike's a little bit better at doing this, but for Classic, certainly this is a nice introduction.
What have, as you've played, quite a bit more than the rest of us, as far as like the mix between strikes and assets, what have you seen as far as that goes, Zemer? If you leave it wide open, are people just taking strikes, or people just taking assets, or a good mix usually, or how do you see those kind of the combination of those two going?
So for most of my games, we've actually been taking assets, and mostly it's because it's like the new thing to play around with. But it's I think it's really fun. It adds a bit of variety. When I think mech combat can sort of get stale. I don't know if stale's the right way to put it.
How dare you? How dare you, Zemer?
I know. I'm so sorry. Maybe not stale, but kind of gets repetitive. You keep doing the same mechs and whatnot. You got to throw something to mix to mix things up. So taking in assets could not only mix things up, but also play to your strengths and weaknesses. I'll give an example. You might take a mercenary company that's just like a bunch of big, heavy, slow bruisers. You enter a campaign mission where the objective is, we have to be fast and we have to extract with some loot. You might be tempted to take hovercraft. There are a few hovercraft that are available to us, including something like the Maxim Heavy Hover. I will say, in my play experience, Maxim tanks are way, way sturdier than they have any right to be. I have pounded on these things round after round in my games, and they just refused to putter out. They just kept on trucking. Yeah. It is maddening, but it's a heck of a lot of fun. And since it's a Maxim, it can also drop off infantry, and they have absolutely done that to my detriment. You think you have a hillside and you have some woods, and then inner sphere jump infantry just come in there with their anti-mech, and oh no, now they got my kneecaps.
For specifically for the asset cards, for those that play Alpha Strike mainly, but we'll cross over to this or whatnot. Are those specials the same as the specials from Alpha Strike? I know I'm looking at the Maxim hover, and you've got an IF number. Does that correlate with the Alpha Strike specials, or is this completely?
It's not one for one. You are going to see similar specials, like IF is a very good example. A big difference is, especially for IF, and this blew one of my players' minds. In Alpha Strike, IF is just, this is how much damage you do if you do an indirect fire attack. Something like the LRM carrier, the heavy LRM carrier, has an IF of 9. That does not mean it does 9 damage. No, it means it does 9 groupings of 5 damage. It is disgusting. I've had that LRM carrier ruin my day during a campaign mission, because all it requires for an indirect fire attack is that asset had to have stood still. This is a little bit different than like Alpha Strike or even Classic. If you want an IF attack or an artillery attack, your unit has to stand still for their movement, so they forfeit their TMM. But if you know LRM carriers, they don't have much movement anyway. That heavy LRM carrier has a fat 0 for TMM. So, yeah, let him sit in the back behind his buddies and just lob shots. I think it won.
So now that you're talking about this, what is the best asset? Let the cat out of the bag here, Zemer. What should everyone be taking?
Everybody should be taking just vedettes. Just vedettes. It's 16 battlefield support points. Okay. At scale 1, you get 32, so you get 2 vedettes, and this goes up with your scale. You get 64 at scale 2, so that means you take 4 vedettes. At scale 3, well, guess what? That's another 2 vedettes. You have 6 vedettes. You have 6 vedettes and maybe 4 or 6 mechs. Just ruin somebody's day with a bunch of reliable tank standards.
Turning along, the more the merrier.
Thought I'd see a day where somebody's recommended just bringing vedettes.
Yeah, I've heard of
Fear the AC5.
Yeah. Awesome.
But in all honesty, it really comes down to your personal preference. Especially at larger scales, instead of taking like a tank or individual artillery strikes, you could just bring a long tom. Yeah. Some long toms cost 66 points, but if you're playing like a scale 3 game, you got the BSPs to, spare. Just bring a long tom. Lob artillery shots every turn. Make that your opponent's problem. So there's a lot of options out there. I would not recommend, however, just taking all emplacements. That they get a -4 to hit. It can be disappointing.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. I will say, if you get enough emplacements, though, it does become a problem. For proof of that, there was a stream me and Brent did where he had 5 emplacements, and I just could not touch him for like 4 turns. I just could not peek around the corner to try to get shots on him.
Yeah. So how did the emplacements work? Do you want to talk about that as far as versus actual moving units?
Yeah. So emplacements are actually rather simple. It is just a fixed gun emplacement. The art, in my opinion, is just a little bit deceptive because emplacements do not have a turret. They do not have a turret, so they have a single facing. But when you put it on a hex map, they have their front arc. They could shoot anything within that area. Your choices for emplacements is actually probably really easy. Just other than for the machine gun nest, all your emplacements are always going to cost 13 or 15 BSPs, depending on what skill you're taking them at.
Why don't they have a turret?
Why? Yeah, I could not tell you, but especially if you look at the art, it's like he's on a turret. Like that dude should be able to spin around. What the heck's going on?
Yeah.
But they're cute. The light and placement, that the only real difference between the light to the heavy is the amount of damage and the range it's doing that damage at. So a light is going to have a long range. It does 10 damage versus the heavy emplacement that does 15 damage at medium laser range. So up to 9 hexes away.
Nice.
So any other questions about assets, strikes, any of that stuff?
So I guess the high skill you should. I mean, the reason that there's a higher skill is because that it's the assumption is that you have, I guess, sprinted the vehicle at all times, and that's why that skill is usually so high. Like starting at a 6 and then a veteran will be at 5. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, correct. All assets are assumed, or sorry, always treated as running, unless they are jumping. But the only jumping units you're going to have is elementals and jump infantry for the inner sphere.
Sure. Okay. Yeah,
those are the only exceptions at the moment. Unfortunately, we do not have jumping hovercraft yet. Fingers crossed.
Gross.
All right, so if we're exhausted of questions on assets right now, we can get to starting your campaign.
Let's do it.
How do we start?
How do you start? Well, first, you need to find at least one other buddy, at least for the time being. We still are hoping Ace is going to come out, sometime this year. But until then, you need at least one other person to play. You get that one other person, significant other, a child, hopefully, within your family, or just a buddy.
I really think CGL should start producing T-shirts that just say "My hobby is stuck on a boat" or something like that.
Is stuck on what?
Stuck on a boat, because apparently that's where Aces is or something. Yeah.
Oh no. So after you've found a battle buddy, you'll put together your forces in a similar manner to how you would the other campaigns. We talked about that last month. You can stick to something like the master unit list to try to get, hey, what's the availability for mercs? For this game, you're incentivized. You're making a merc company. You're going out. You're making contracts. You're trying to make money. So check that merc availability list. Otherwise, you can play house units. You can play clan units. There are rules and exceptions in there for that kind of stuff. But however, assuming you're just playing normal mercs, starting a company, you're going to need 1 or 2 mechs. And for classic BattleTech, your allowance for PV is going to be 3,000 at scale 1 or 100 PV at scale 1. So for 3,000 PV, I'm sure some of you guys, you got any idea what we could take at that kind of PV?
You're talking BV for classic, right?
Or yeah, BV. Sorry, I'm misspeaking.
No problem. What did I put in mine? I know that I took a Caesar because that came in the Mercenaries box, and I love it.
That's very good. That's got like a Gauss rifle and a PPC in it, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh heck yeah.
Let's see, what else did I take? Can't remember right off the bat. But it was a heavy and a medium. That's essentially what I took. So
all right. Well, I do have a few examples of things you could take at that scale. And Hinterlands does include some tables for units that are available not only to Mercenaries, but also the various factions you're going to be coming up against, including pirates, which is nice. But you can take, for 3,000 BV, you could take a dang dire wolf. There are dire wolves that are below 3,000. You can comfortably slip in there and take them out and cause some chaos. Otherwise, we have stories that include a coyote. I believe the prime variant with a Jaeger mech, the one with twin Gauss rifles. There are some, even at 3,000 BV, you could get some neat combinations going.
Yeah, if you, I guess, yeah, the coyote, that would be an interesting one actually. The coyote with its movement and the Jaeger just plinking away. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you say plinking away, but that's a dang Gauss rifle. That'll take your head off.
Heavy plink.
Heavy plink. So once you got your 1 or 2 units, you could take 3 if you want, but the book definitely recommends 2, and I would as well. I have one player who started out with 3 units, playing classic, and while it worked fine, they had a gladiator, a Locust 2C, and a javelin. That if they took that extra BV and just, maybe upgrade the gladiator or something, they might have had a little bit better time starting out, but still doable, still fun.
Well, and I think, I don't know if you already mentioned it, but any BV or PV as well, but anything that you don't spend or use for a particular scenario, then you get to change it into the BSP assets and stuff. So you don't have to get like, I can only get exactly 3,000 BV or whatever. You can still rely on using that other whatever you don't spend for stuff in the battles itself. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. There is a cap on how much. It's something like 640 BV can be converted to BSPs. Essentially, you can't have more than 32 extra BSPs on top of what you're already taking. So, I mean, that could be spicy. That's another 2 vedettes. So
how many Savannah Masters can I get? Something like that.
You know what? I can't tell you. I'm not sure if we got a Savannah Master BSP. I don't think we did.
Just to stay away from the horde, I guess. Stave it off.
Yeah. I have heard rumblings that there is a calculator that they use to determine what the BSP value is. So if that's ever released to the public, I see absolutely no reason why people couldn't just start taking swarms of Savannah Masters as BSPs, to accompany their normal units, just to give a new player the worst time. Anyway.
Negative play experience 100%.
So now you've got your Savannah Masters, you got your 2 mechs or 1 mech of choice. It's time to make money. We jump into contracts. Now, the Mercenaries box set only includes 2 contracts in it, 1 for each side of the campaign it runs you through. But if you go into the Hinterlands, I think there's like over a dozen contracts in there, if I remember correctly. So you have like a lot of choices for like curated content. If you get to Hinterlands, there is also a section for generating random contracts. So in case you don't want to take the contracts they have in there, you could just roll on essentially a random table to see what contracts you get. Some of the possible contracts that are included in the Hinterlands include things like a gold heist, a raid or defense mission on a Lyran Mercantile League factory to, they're producing clan tech. That contract is actually, I think, the first one you're given if you're following them in order in the Hinterlands books. And when you take that first contract, it has bonus rewards to it, such as, hey, you get a free clan mech as long as you win 1 track out of this 2-track contract. Man, I shouldn't try saying that too fast.
Yeah, that's quite the tongue twister.
So there's a lot of cool narrative stuff that are happening in Hinterlands. You hop in here, it's going to give you a lot of flavor on what's going on in the region. Hinterlands being this was former occupation zone for Jade Falcon. In the Ill Clan era, the Falcons leave so they can have their little playtime on Terra. They don't come back. So what is left is a power vacuum that everybody is trying to get a slice of. And as mercenaries, you get to make money off of that. In short.
Boy, you put it in the best possible light there, Zemer. I mean, mercenaries just take advantage of people, and I can't believe you would say that. Jeez.
I have no idea why the Russell Hagians have such bad blood with mercenaries. Like, they're here for one thing, right?
Yeah, they're just here to help.
For every one mercenary company that finds a memory core that brings upon a renaissance, you have like 100 other chuckleheads that are just trying to make their nut.
And as far as I understand it, and Ben, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's supposed to be different hinterlands that will come out, and these will correspond to the Ill Clan manuals that have come out. Is that correct?
Ish.
Okay.
I know there's things in the works for different regions of, like, the Hinterlands is, that one little compact spot from Tamar Rising. There's some other things that'll come out. I think that some of them connect to Tamar Rising, some of them go to Dominions Divided, some of them go to, Empire Alone kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. Okay. So, but there's going to be, it sounds like there's going to be kind of something for everyone, right? Like most people will have something that they kind of like, at least within the main inner sphere, that they'll be able to have like
eventually.
Its own Hinterlands type
thing. Eventually.
Yeah.
We probably get to the last, was that Empire Alone, I think? Probably won't be done until, 2035 or something. Don't hold your breath.
Not to put a specific year on it at all.
Oh, no.
Don't hold your breath.
But I guess maybe if that was kind of the intent, is to correspond with these other source manuals, which I think is a great idea.
I think that's the intent. Now, execution-wise, inshallah.
We'll see.
We'll see. Go ahead. Sorry, Matt.
No, I think I just said I think it'd be a great idea, because then you get the material, but then you get to play within the material that you read. So I think it's a great idea if that comes to pass.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It would be great if we had that. So even within the material we have here, Hinterlands, among your contracts, especially the curated content, you have essentially like minor characters that pop up as folks you can take on as temporary and maybe even permanent hires. One that has been prominently featured, and I don't think it's spoilers, it's right there on the cover. You have the Sandworm. This is a character that within one of the contracts you can hire. And all he asks is that, hey, just get me off this place. I want out of here. That there's more to it, but
this is the dude that's hiding in the cape that's on the cover.
Yes, he's piling the Hatamochi with the ghillie cape suit.
Nice.
Yes. Sorry, I should have led with that. No, not everybody's going to know what Sandworm is.
No, when you said Sandworm first, I thought immediately of Dune, but then I remembered. Oh yeah, I'm not on a Dune or Dune podcast, so
yeah. Maybe some of the players who have been playing Helldivers are thinking of the Hive Lords as well.
Oh my god, the Hive Lord, bro.
Oh, maybe we could talk about that. We're not playing. We're already playing quite a bit of Helldivers right now, but we could be playing more. And what's going on in there? Thankfully, I've been able to play the game again because it came to Xbox. I previously had it on PC, but my laptop couldn't run it. My Xbox does perfectly fine. Oh man, it's been fun. So, not Dune, not Helldivers, Sandworms. This is a gosh dang mech in a ghillie suit.
Thank you for the clarification. Yes.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So, those are your contracts. You run through them. There's a set number of tracks with each contract. Usually it's anywhere between like 2. I've seen on the higher end, it's like 6 missions for a single contract. But you go through, there's a flow chart, there's a variety of scenarios to play. You go through there. I think it's a great time. I myself have ran a single contract for a while with a local group of people. We did, I think it was a total of like 6 or 7 missions with one contract. And we were doing sort of a mercenary league, which a mercenary league is a bunch of players get together. They take the same contract and you just play for bragging rights to see who could salvage the most equipment, who earns the most, support points, stuff like that.
See, when you say Mercenary League, I immediately, and I don't do this, I do not play fantasy football or whatever. But now I want to do a draft and then do a league with Mercenaries. That's what I now want to do, which I think you take the list out of the Hinterlands and you draft units from it, like a fantasy football draft.
Man.
It's going to happen. Now it's going to happen.
Well, it's fantasy football league season, isn't it?
'Tis the season.
'Tis the season for that kind of shenanigans. You know what? More on that later. So, going through the contract, there's a few variables in here. You're always going to be given like the contract number, the employer, a description of what the contract is, like kind of what the situation is. Just using the first one as an example, the Lone Wolf Retainer. The Lone Wolves are a mercenary co-op. The Lone Wolves find an opportunity for employment and sign the contract. Then individual mercenaries or a group of mercenaries choose on a day-to-day basis to serve the contract. This continues, but it gives you a rundown of what the situation is for your contract. You'll be given a location, as well as it'll mention what the terrain's going to be like. So for Wolf Retainer, it's wooded/jungle. The type of action, this one, it's a retainer. You're just there to... Actually, what does retainer mean? Could somebody enlighten me?
So retainer, like a retainer mission?
Yeah, or a contract. In the context of like a military force. Like, how is it different from like a garrison?
Well, it's a little bit different because as a retainer, you could be tasked with, hey, I've got these guys on retainer. Yeah, they're kind of in a defensive role, but oh, you know what? Let's go raid these dudes. Hey, I got this retainer force. Why don't you guys go raid those dudes for me? Or hey, we're gonna conduct a planetary invasion, or we need you to go get back something we lost, kind of thing.
This sounds like the Big Mac for the Capellans, right? They just kind of go wherever they're commanded, but they're always on. They're kind of always on pay somewhere in the Capellan space, or at least used to.
Yeah, or they might want you to be an op for their own guys to go be for training purposes or something like that. So retainers kind of like covers the broad spectrum of things instead of a very narrow type of contract.
So you're telling me the Russell Hagians should have taken out more retainers than just defense contracts.
True, but retainers are also at a higher price because if you take on a retaining contract, then at least from real world applications that I've had to deal with, things like that, it's a higher premium because you could be asked to go do X, Y, or Z as opposed to like a defense contract is just X. That's all it is. Or a raid contract is just Y, that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah, thank you for the insight.
Yeah.
So that's your type of action. These can range from, the example we just discussed, retainer, all the way to your simple stuff like garrison, defense, raids. That will be given in the contract. You read up on the Hinterlands, it'll give you more information there. And there's some information in the mercenary box. You have the length of the contract. This is the in-game time that the contract is valid for. So, Lone Wolf Retainer, it's valid for 3 months. You're base pay is going to be the next stat. You have support, transportation, salvage rights, command rights, and then there could be some sort of bonus to the contract. In this case, the bonus listed with the Lone Wolf is a mercenary serving the length of the contract will receive a choice of mech from the Alina Factory Zone 4. So you get a free clan mech. To double back, your base pay is expressed. Base pay is always 500 support points times your scale. And whatever percent of that base pay you're given is what you earn per month. Your maintenance costs are much more simplified in the Mercenaries campaign system here. Is just a flat 500 support points per scale, which is nice. You know, your standard base pay, if it's at 100%, it's going to cover your maintenance cost outright. Anything over 100% base pay is just money in your pocket. Support is going to include battlefield losses, battlefield repairs, and rearming. That is expressed in a percentage, and it's based on whether you are. There's sort of like two levels. Everything's on a sliding scale. So at some point, you can get full 100% support on just repairs and rearm. That is just a straight 100%. So as long as you bring your dudes back, all your expenses are covered. Doesn't matter if he's limping with one leg missing and 2 engine crits. He gets back to the mech bay, it's covered. Battlefield losses are not going to be covered in that kind of contract. So if that same mech gets destroyed or salvaged by the opposition, you can't get him back. That's not covered by your contract terms. Something that's more simple in here is transportation. Transportation is just a one-time cost. With each of these tracks that you go with the Hinterlands system, you do not pay an upfront cost to enter that track. Instead, it's you have transportation costs. That's just what is the cost to get to the contract area at the beginning of the contract. That's it. And that's all these values are most of these values are going to be expressed in the percentage. Salvage rights. This is important for any mercenary. You want to know how much of that salvage do you take home for yourself. This is expressed in a percentage. It's very unlikely for an employer to completely deny you salvage. But in some contracts like the Lone Wolf Retainer, you have 100% salvage rights. It's, you kill it, you take it home. Most other contracts are not going to be so generous. They'll give like some sort of percentage. So you salvage something, your employer gets half of the value, you get half of the value. What you can do, though, is often negotiate with your employer, like, hey, that Mad Cat I took out, I really like it. Here's the support point so I can buy it off of you. And you take it home. And the last variable here on the contract is going to be command rights. Command rights, I like this. This is different from in the previous Secession Wars, we talked about optional objective or optional modifiers to missions. Command rights sort of does the same thing. And even if you're playing those old scenarios and you have those, it does integrate with the command rights. Essentially, the more detached you are from your employer, the less things are going to go wrong for you. So at a truly independent command, you're not going to have to experience any complications. However, a lot of times you're going to either be integrated with your employer, you're going to have a liaison, or something to that flavor. Depending on that level of integration, you can have more complications come up. And complications just change based on the contract you're playing at the time. A lot of this curated content is going to have like a little table that you roll like 1d6 on to see what is the complication. Any of you guys have any questions?
I think what I have just learned is that I should, in my mercenary company, quickly get one of these new minis for the Savior salvage / repair vehicle, so that I can just have that in the back, and when I inevitably lose a leg or something, I just trundle that thing out, put my mech on it, and trundle it back so that I can keep my mechs coming back. That is now my plan. Get them out.
Yeah. Bring your boys back.
That's right.
I think last month I already talked about how much I like that mini, but I will say it again. I really like that mini. I can't wait to get my hands on that pack.
Yeah, it should be cool. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense as far as all the information and stuff. So good knowledge.
Yeah. So for some employers, they're not going to allow you to like negotiate your contract. Like the lone wolves, so the lone wolves are just handing you the contract and like, here, this is it. You know, work with it. You're not getting any better, kid. But all of these variables are on a sliding scale. There's a table there. You could spend your reputation that you earn by successfully finishing tracks. You could use that reputation to, say negotiate for better salvage rights. So maybe your employer only wants to give you 50% salvage. You can negotiate for a higher percentage of that. Additionally, you could, in some cases, negotiate down on something. So an employer might offer, to pay your transportation costs. You might sit there and be like, well, it's just the next system over. It's not going to be that expensive. I'll drop that so I can negotiate higher somewhere else.
When you've ran through more of these than we have, how are you guys kind of generating the contracts that you guys play with? I ran when I started doing it hours. I ran into a Hinterlands contract generator, and that's what we've been using as we slowly work through different contracts. Is there something that you use, or you guys have ones out of the Hinterlands manual? What do you guys do?
So I've generated contracts out of the Hinterlands here using their tables. That's likely what the generator you found is using. I did find one as well. It was on like it was on a Excel spreadsheet. It wasn't Excel, but it was on a spreadsheet, and it would generate contracts for you randomly. The one I use, it just uses all the same tables. It just saves me all the rolling and whatnot.
Yeah.
But for the Mercenary League, I went with a very simple contract. And if you don't want to roll for random contracts and you just want to have like simple babies first contract, you could just go with the one that's recommended in the book. I'm trying to find which page it's on, but it's a fairly generous one where you get 100% pay, you get 50% salvage, your support is straight 100%. So, like I mentioned before, as long as you could drag that guy home, you can fix him up, no matter what's wrong with them.
So I have to design different contracts for some Hinterlands in an upcoming event, and I'm now going to make that one of it, and it will be called Babies First. There you go, Zemer. Good job.
Oh, nice. You're welcome. I'm glad to be at service. Somebody else wrote the contract, though, so I can't take...
No, you just take the...
Yeah. All right. I did find it. Simple contracts, you can find it on page 17 of the PDF. Physical page 17. So,
and this is in the Mercenaries or Hinterlands?
Hinterlands.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so 100% base pay, independent command, straight 100% support, 50% salvage rights. you can ignore transport and monthly pay. Both are reimbursed 100%, and repairs rounds. Yeah, just like you can't get a more simple contract to like kind of dip your toes in and try it with this. And I ran this contract for 6 months, almost 7, with a group of friends, and we had a pretty good time with it. What happens is, one of the reasons why I like campaign play more than, say, tournament or pickup games is you definitely get more attached to your dudes. The amount of times I saw players like sitting there and like having handshake deals saying, hey, I'll let you take this objective so I can take my dude home because there's a risk I can lose him. It's very interesting. It's a nice dynamic when 2 players could just like handshake and be like, yeah, no salvage, you take your stuff, I take my stuff. We'll just end the contract here. And honestly, one of the reasons why I really like that is it absolutely feels like BattleTech. Especially during the Secession Wars. And I feel even throughout most of time in BattleTech, dudes don't just want to go down to the last man. I'm not counting the wobbies here. They're nut jobs. But most military commanders, most mercenaries are not going to just try to grind everything down just to squeeze a little bit out. Blood from stone.
True. But you're talking about BattleTech here. Come on. Those guys are just expendable.
Save the metal. Sell the meat.
That's right. Save the metal.
Ay. They do
that's
say
why you
that.
gotta name them, right? You gotta give them. Everyone has to have a name, and that's the way you actually start the campaign.
Oh, you know what? Actually, that is a very good point. Like, your pilots are like dudes that you have to hire and you have to maintain. So treat them well. The meat is fragile. I think there was one player who might have lost a skill 2 pilot. We were playing Alpha Strike. They lost a skill 2 pilot. I mean, still yet, that's a lot of investment.
Yeah.
They lost a skill 2 pilot to a unit destruction, like headshot. It's just like, dude's paced, he's gone. That is absolutely crippling. We were even discussing this. Sorry?
Say, get the hose out.
Yeah, get the hose out.
Well, and that adds in kind of, in a way, that RPG element that BattleTech, in a way, has kind of in the background in all cases, which I think really adds to the whole ambiance of it. So I really like that possibility is always there, that those boxcars can take out everything you planned for and built up into a person or whatever, and then they're gone, and it becomes like almost a bit more real life type situation. And yeah, I think it's actually a benefit to the game.
Isn't that something along the lines of where I think with the full RPG system, you can use a point of edge or whatever it is to re-roll that and force a re-roll so they're not paced.
Or you can use the optional, emergency ejection roll. Just roll 12s.
There you go. I'm okay with just a chance, but re-rolling. Oh, come on.
Yeah. Well, if you do want to protect your pilots from that, there is like an extra layer to this. You have your pilots. You can upgrade them. So at the start of at the start of your campaign, you're given 2 skill advancements. If you're playing classic, it's 2 skill advancements. You can put it has to be like on different skills if it's on the same pilot. So you could start with like a 3-4 instead of a 4-5, or you could start with 2 pilots that are gunnery 3 and piloting 5. You can do that for your starting mercenary unit. If you're playing Alpha Strike, you're just putting one skill advancement on one dude.
Yeah.
But as you go through, you could spend support points to level up your pilots. So not only can you drop their skills down, you can also give them special pilot abilities. Now, depending on what rule set you're playing, you're going to be pulling your special pilot abilities from there. I play Alpha Strike, so that stuff's just, it's in the Commander's Edition. You're playing Alpha Strike, the book you're going to be referring to like 99% of the time is just the Commander's Edition. Nothing else. For Classic, special pilot abilities are in campaign ops. And if you did get one of the recent Humble Bundles, you should have a copy of that, I believe. So, with special pilot abilities, you could do some fun things with that. One of them we were just mentioning, trying to avoid your pilot getting pasted. I think there's a special pilot ability called Float Like a Butterfly, where you could force your opponent to re-roll a attack, either the location or the attack in general. So that might keep your guys alive. Otherwise, if you really hate the folks you're playing with, I guess you can like get sniper and range specialist and put it on one dude. If you do that at my table, I might have to talk to you about that. But you could certainly try it.
Ouch. Yeah.
I'm curious for you guys. Have you ever played with special pilot abilities?
Yes.
Occasionally, I have a little rule set I call the Northman's Homebrew that uses a very small list of them that you can access. So I do not play with the full list because it can be, I think, abused a little bit. But I haven't tried it with kind of involved with the Chaos Campaign system at all. But outside of it, yeah.
Yeah, I run into
All
them a lot with running Drafted for War events and things like that, where they can take the, with Drafted for War, you pull out a force pack, everybody chooses a mech out of there, and you get the pilot card with that, and you can pay to take that pilot with their SPA on it. So you see some things that are kind of like, all right, cool, but I know like Jumping Jack and Sniper are pretty effective in those types of games.
Yeah, I'd say they're very effective. Jumping Jack isn't quite as effective in Alpha Strike, being that it's just a -1 to your movement shooting modifier. But especially in Classic, I think it's just a +1 if you walk, +1 if you jump, if you have Jumping Jack, correct?
Yeah, because it's a -1 from the +2, right?
Yeah, it's just a +1 for jumping instead. But when you pair that up with a skill 3 or a skill 2 pilot,
yeah,
and you have a jump strong mech or something like that, where you got a +4 on your TMM, it gets
out of hand quick. Yeah,
frustrating. Yeah.
Next thing you know, you've got a skill 2 Fenris J, huh, Charles?
Yeah, right.
Those things are really nice.
Or
They are.
well, since we're kind of talking about the Hinterlands thing, the Aces box is going to include the Marauder 2C6, right? That's the jumping one. That one's a nasty bugger. Yeah, dang.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
So I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts on Hinterlands and what we've discussed so far?
I have two main thoughts. The first one is on a sillier note. I'm really wondering on page 12 of the Hinterlands manual.
Yes.
This art is among the more interesting art I've seen recently. And I am wondering why there's dudes riding smiling cows around.
You can blame Metal Ed for that one.
This is a Metal Ed production?
Well, he didn't make the art, I don't think, but I think he requested that art.
So what's the story?
I'm blaming him for it anyway, because he always talked about having the whole like infantry on beast mounted infantry type stuff.
And the beast being cattle.
Yeah, why not? Why
Did he
not?
get that from Hans's kangaroos?
I think that was part of it. He's always been fascinated with that stuff, man.
Well, I when going through the manual, the very first, it's like, what is, what does this come to? But it did give me a good chuckle. Now on to the actual serious comment. I really like it. I think it continues and in a way revitalizes a lot of what Hotspots is about. And I think the addition of ways to integrate, like especially vehicles, but somewhat other things that BSP does, I think it can be valuable. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I know there's a group here in Colorado that doesn't like it by any means. And I know there's other people out there that love it because I think it just kind of expands the possibilities and opportunities to use those cool minis that we got in Mercenaries Kickstarter without having to maybe use as much time for adding in kind of another rule set like the vehicles do. So I enjoyed the Mercenary system, and then the Hinterlands system integrates that war. So I really like that quite a bit, and I need to play it more. But so far, I think it's a good product, and I would definitely give it a pretty big thumbs up. And just hey, everyone should try it. That's what I would say.
Thanks for your thoughts, Ben.
Yeah, I think it's a good system. It makes it really easy for new players to kind of jump into it, new-ish players. I think there's some definite tweaks as more of the Hotspots series kind of gets rolling through things. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good, and it's very, especially for those that struggle with, like I have in the past, building a campaign. It makes it a lot easier to just build a campaign, and run a campaign pretty much because you don't really have to do a whole lot of building.
Yeah, like the difference between this and campaign ops, like if you just are reading campaign ops, the manual, and you look here and it's like, okay, there's some more clarity to it and a little bit more simplicity. And, for the vast when I don't have 3 weeks off to run a campaign, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
While the detail is nice, I don't need to calculate what the in-flight time is from the nadir point to my contract. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things too. Like it depends on how much crunch you want. I think it gives you that option. It gives you a lot of options to go. We don't need that. Hey, just pay the flat fee.
Yeah. Mike, your thoughts? You said you didn't have any experience with this. So what are your thoughts on how do you feel about this?
I think it's cool. It definitely sounds like it's relatively easy to get into and go in. Me and Morgoth from the server have been texting back and forth multiple times over the last year about how we need to get together and play some BattleTech because he lives literally in the same town I do. And but life's just been really busy for both of us. So we haven't gotten to it, but I definitely think it's something that'd be cool to try out with him. I like how it kind of expands upon and diversifies and makes BSPs a little bit more cool, a little more flavorful. I think that's cool. But yeah, willing to give it a shot. I just need time,
Time is a very valuable thing. There's a lot of people could be in different situations, but time is something that everybody shares. Doesn't matter where you come from. I mean, unless you jump on a spaceship and you do some like weird math going around the speed of light, but
math.
Yeah, on the planet Earth, we all have the same amount of time. All right. So where do you guys think would be the best place to play this? In my experience, I've played this the longest at like my local game club. Recently I've been playing it more and more on Tabletop Simulator with some of the folks in the Valhalla club. Where would you guys recommend playing this? Would you do it at a game club? Would you do it online?
I'm pro
where?
Garage BattleTech and beer.
Garage BattleTech and beer, yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, I like this. Playing this, I really like its flexibility. So you can just come together on a random night, and maybe just one person's playing Op 4 for someone else's contract, or you can just meet up and be like, okay, we're on two sides of this same track or whatnot. So I think it has a lot of playability at your weekly game night. But I also think you could have a more involved campaign where it's, you guys are friends are coming over to play in the basement or whatnot, and you're really getting involved and doing this more often, things like that. So I think it's pretty flexible, and I know that at Desert Hot Drop coming up, we're having a Hinterland time, and the option is open for you to play at your Hinterlands force throughout the weekend. So I know it's being played at some events as well. So I think it really has enough flexibility to be played at any place and any time, really.
Nice. And
yeah,
Ben?
I think it's good to, it's pretty flexible. I mean, if I know there's a group down the road from me that they get together every weekend and they're running through Hinterland stuff. At least they used to be. I haven't touched base with them in a month or so. But I mean, pretty much anywhere. You can just like playing a game of BattleTech anywhere. Depends on how deep you want to get into it.
Yeah, I think the thing to keep in mind is if you're playing Classic, you're limited to 2 mechs. And I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with somebody to introduce them to a game, and we just sat down with 2 units, and we had a game done in like an hour. Especially depending on like the certain technologies you're taking, like, XL engines or something. A Classic game wrapping up in an hour is not unheard of, I feel, for this system. And that's at scale 1. And I could tell you, if you crank it up to like scale 3, which I have tried, you get like a fairly meaty game. So you do feel with my group, everybody was like, "Ooh, I got to get to the next scale. I got to get to the next scale." You absolutely could do that. But when you do that, it is more of a time investment, but it feels sort of right. I think the sweet spot for me is having players at scale 2. In Classic, that's 6,000 BV. You can make a solid lance out of that. In Alpha Strike, that's 200 PV. Again, you can make like a reinforced lance. You can even take a star at that kind of PV. Sorry. When you throw BSPs in the mix, that does slow things down if you have too many assets. But if you're taking strikes and whatnot, it's fairly painless if you're at a crunch for time.
Yeah, and I think that plays. It's a strong suit of this flexibility. You can add and subtract things, just like we talked about last month. It's a system that allows you to tack on things or remove things, and it's still a campaign system in its entirety. Even though the things that you're taking off or adding on to are almost in a way your home rules, but it's still just rules that you're using or not using. So I think there's just this flexibility kind of baked into it, and I appreciate that that's there, and that CGL and has chosen to provide another opportunity for us to play campaigns, which in my mind is really the most basic of BattleTech, that getting into the mech with a group of dudes and playing through scenarios with them and having them kind of come to life. I think that's like the most basic thing that BattleTech's really about, for me at least. I'll say that. So this is just another way to do that with some things taken, removed a little bit from campaign ops, but still has that the kind of the meat of a campaign. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Like 100%. Well, Bourbon, some of us are getting a bit thirsty. What do you have for us today?
Hey all, this is Ben here, your BattleTech Master of Spirits. Get your mixers, liquors, shakers, stirs, and strainers ready as we cover this month's BattleTech Drink of the Month.
Hi, folks. This is Ben here with your Drink of the Month. All right. So I didn't really do a whole lot of research this month because I've been busy. So I came up with something that is familiar to some of you. It has a different name in our real timeline.
What this is.
You seen that before, Mike?
Not at all.
So we're going to call this, for the BattleTech universe, this is the Skye Separator. It starts with 1 pint of Guinness or Tinbiki Dark, for those of you that are in universe. 1 shot of Jameson Irish whiskey. Drop the shot into the pint and drain it as quickly as you can. So it's a little rough for those of you that aren't used to it, but especially for our friends across the pond, they're probably a little familiar with it. So
where's was it the amaretto?
huh?
I'm thinking of something else. I think
you're thinking of something else, buddy.
Thinking of a car bomb.
Well, that's what it is. It's
which one I was thinking of that had the. Oh, now I gotta Google.
I mean, your Boilermaker used to be just beer and whiskey dropped in there, and then you had the, and this is the name of it. I'm not trying to side eye anybody. You had the Irish car bomb, which was Jameson and like Guinness and stuff like that. So
okay, it's not amaretto. What was I thinking of?
I don't know.
Oh,
did you use amaretto?
No, it's not amaretto. I definitely was wrong there. Maybe it was like, what was it, like Bailey's? I just remember there was something like you had to drink it with super fast, or it would curdle.
Oh yeah, I don't know. That sounds like some Sex on the Beach or something like that. I don't know.
I got a question, Ben. You mentioned substituting Guinness in place of Tinbiki Dark. Do you have a suggestion for Jameson Irish whiskey, or is that canonical?
No, it's not canonical. I think there's a specific Kellhounds brand of Irish whiskey that I can't recall the name off the top of my head, but it's been mentioned like once or twice. I feel like Morgan and the Kell
it's
brothers.
It's stuck in the pages of some book, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. But
I googled the Irish car bomb. Typically is Guinness, Bailey's, and Jameson.
Oh, Bailey's. Yeah, I don't want to use Bailey's. Bailey's, that's too weird to me.
So you're just missing the cream. So yeah.
You don't need it.
If I remember right, last time I had this, it's been a few years, but it actually didn't taste that bad. And being able to slam it was actually a pretty. Maybe I was just already intoxicated enough that I didn't realize it, but it was good. You definitely do have to drink it fast enough, or it gets really gross. And I think I was able to drink 80% of it before I had to take a pause, and during that pause it got gross, so I didn't finish. But that's because of the Baileys.
I've never done them with Baileys before because it was always we never had Baileys. We always had Irish whiskey and Guinness laying around. So
me and a buddy. I was stationed in Italy. Me and a buddy, we were at Cinque Terre, Italy. We were already pretty drunk, and so we were at the bar, and we ordered one. So they had it.
Yeah, I think in game you only got Glengarry Black Label. Feel like and Glengarry Reserve. You got
I do like the thought of calling Guinness Timbiki Dark. I like that.
you like
I
that?
like that. Yeah, that's smart. I like it.
I don't know if Timbiki Dark is actually like a Guinness style like
It is now.
beer, or is it more like a Killian's Red kind of thing? You know,
Ooh,
like a dark.
Killian's Red.
Yeah,
I haven't had Killian's in a long time.
I
Now I
haven't
need to
either.
go get some tomorrow.
I haven't either. I just went to the Coors Distillery last week on a tour, so that was pretty neat.
It's Coors.
Well, they actually they distribute or own Killian's Red. I think it is.
Hmm.
It was on the tour, man. I don't know.
I'll give you a pass
I
because you're
wasn't
in
paying attention.
Colorado. Yeah,
I
you
wasn't
get a
paying
pass
attention.
because you're in Colorado. I haven't drank any since I finally moved back home. I've had nothing but Alaskan brewery stuff for the last
Yeah.
year. Minus the occasional Corona, but yeah, I'm all in on my Alaskan brew, bro.
Yeah, because Molson Coors deals with Irish Red.
Gotcha.
Suburban, how much of this drink you've got here, how much of a kick has this thing got?
It's gonna have a bit of a kick.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. I mean, the Guinness tends to mask the whiskey a little bit, a little bit. So, but it's
And you don't have the Baileys to make it smooth,
true.
with the creaminess.
The hard part is getting the pint of Guinness down in like one go.
That's hard. Yeah, that's really hard to
the
do.
roughest part.
Yeah, and I've never been one that was like, I can't chug a beer, man. Like, I've never really actually been able to. I can get through about half, and then just the carbonation catches up to me, and I can't go anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, is this one that's improved by the brown stuff, or is this just like it's already got too much?
Guinness or the Irish whiskey?
I mean, that's up to you, but
Just depends on how big your shot is, I guess.
So as you guys have gone on this alcohol rant, I decided to just pop into Sarna real quick because I was curious. This might not help at all because it's apocryphal. It's from the BattleTech video game. But in there, it describes Timbiki Dark as being brewed with chocolate malt, producing a medium-bodied beer with low bitterness and a pleasant caramel aroma. Take that for what you will, I guess.
Interesting.
Ben, how many of these will it take to lay your average brute out? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Well, the brute's a tank, man. You can't use him as the frame of reference.
Yeah.
Let's see.
There are a lot of
He
chocolate.
carried that bucket of Fireball shots around with him.
There is a fair number of chocolate brews, though. I mean, even Yinglings has a Hershey line.
Yeah.
So those are actually pretty common. I don't know if I've actually had one. But I will say so with Guinness, right? Before I got stationed in Europe, I did not like Guinness. Like I tried it and was not a fan. And then we took a 4-day trip to Dublin, and boy, fresh Guinness from the factory is phenomenal. It's so good. You gotta get it fresh though. At least for me, like it has to be fresh. But yeah, super good.
We had Guinness on tap at my last job, so it was. I mean, it was plentiful,
Yeah. I'm sure that's the
away from
difference too. The first time I tried it, it was out of a bottle, and I think Guinness is one of those things that has to be a tap.
I thought you were gonna say like the last time or the first time I tried it, it was like through a cut-off hose or something.
No, just a bottle. Definitely not a can. It's really hard. I'm bougie. I can't really do canned beer. That's another thing I love about being back home up here in Anchorage. We got growler bars everywhere. So whenever I go to a restaurant or a brewery, I bring 2 to 3 empty growlers and I'll get it topped off.
Yeah.
Growlers are huge up here. My local liquor store down the street has 24 tap growler bar, and I'm there all the time, topping off. It's so much cheaper than getting them in individual
cans.
bottles or cans. Yeah.
Oh my!
I mean, what
You
else are
changed.
you gonna do in Alaska other than get shit faced? Fight a
I mean,
bear?
there's hiking, biking, photography, boating, fishing, hunting.
All of which you can drink on.
You
while you're
can
doing
do that and drink at the same time.
And all of which have a non-zero chance of ending with a fight with a bear.
You know,
Just saying.
it is what it is. You're more likely to see a moose than a bear.
Oh, is that almost worse? If you piss off the moose.
Well, it's the mama moose you got to worry about
The mama moose. Okay.
if there's a baby. But I view an angry moose as they're just like they're fast. Everybody thinks moose are because they're so big. No man, moose are fast.
Mhm.
But it's like a drag car that goes in a straight line. So just dodge and weave, bro.
Zigzag. Gotcha. Well, I think we're going to keep this ball rolling. This was a long beer rant. I'm here for it, though.
Yeah.
Ben has to end it though.
That's your drink of the month.
Woo!
Woo!
Add Bailey's.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that, Ben. So, I guess we'll continue to return and report. Do you guys have anything to report? Any games played or hobby progress?
I think since last recording, I've probably painted mostly terrain, but a couple minis. Probably more than 100 hours. So that has taken up all my hobby time. There you go. I hope you guys appreciate it when you come to Desert Hot Drop. Ta-da.
Yeah,
There you
that
go.
sounds nuts. That sounds like a lot of good, time well spent. All right, Ben.
Painted for the first time in like 6 weeks today for a little bit. Most of my time has been sucked up with working on writing projects, so I guess that's hobby progress.
I'd call
It's
it
like
so.
communal hobby progress, right?
But he gets
Kinda,
paid
yeah.
for that, so
Well, that's sometimes.
Paid is probably no, probably get down to it too much. But
All right, and Mike, how about you? Have you even touched any minis since last recording?
buddy, you're funny.
you just need to go out and like crack a box, Mike. That's all,
I
man.
don't know. Well, and that doesn't help. I started my new job, and that's 12-hour shifts. So I get home and I'm beat. I might have time for a couple hours of video games after the kiddo goes to bed to like decompress, and then I go to bed and do it all over again the next day. But
You do the night shift?
no, I'm 7 to 7 days. It's 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So it's 14 straight days of 12-hour shifts. And then
Yeah.
the wife also found a steal of a table on Facebook Marketplace. So I'm trying to like refinish that, and I'm still doing a lot of the trim molding in the living room, in the hallway, and there's still slowly getting on projects around the house. So
I mean, that's all hobby progress. It's just a different hobby, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
I would call it
let's,
so, yeah.
The hobby
let's
of
call it
life.
that. Yeah, the hobby of life. Yeah,
I just
'cause,
want you to crack a BattleTech box and just like smell the air inside, and then go back to your normal life. Right?
I mean, usually whenever I'm opening at least this time, lately at least, whenever I'm opening a BattleTech book to look, it's because we're doing a podcast episode, and then I've got like 2 or 3 rule books in my lap or PDFs open on the computer, and I'm diving in. But that's when we do this is when I get some BattleTech,
One of these days, I don't care if it's like 2 a.m. for me, I'm going to drag you kicking and screaming. We'll do something. We'll get some progress in there. Even if it's just a video game.
We'll see.
Actually,
Don't use Zemer.
I myself, well, unfortunately, there's not really any progress on the painting side of things. I have got some of my stuff at the new house. Still don't have my airbrush, and admittedly, I could be painting, but I'm making excuses not to because no airbrush. I've gotten lazy in my painting since I got that damn thing. It just makes base coats so much easier.
Airbrush or bust, bro.
Yeah. Games played. I'm continuing to play Tabletop Simulator on and off stream. Lately, we've been running just this Labor Day week. We ran a couple games on Tabletop Sim with a few of the folks on the Discord, including Legion, Kaz, Bill, and just people stopping in the chat during those games has actually been a nice thing to have. So honestly, I'll just say right away, thank you for those folks who are coming around for that. Additionally, I guess maybe the only other thing to say is the MechWarrior 5 DLC is here. Brett and I were playing that on the Mechs and Men stream and got through all that content. It's really fun playing with the clan tech.
It looks cool. I mean, the idea sounds cool. I haven't had a chance to even watch anything on it, but it's working.
Yeah, I think it's working. There's
Nice.
a couple of bugs, but honestly, by the time this episode goes up, those might even be fixed.
Yesterday, Moondog shared a clip in the OMAM General of I guess he's what's he in, a king crab, and he shoots a shadow cat, and it just like came apart into individual pieces. And in the clip, he put he says like the shadow cat came apart by like Legos, and he put the breaking Lego sound on top of it. It was the funniest thing.
Dude, when that was posted, I was on the floor. Like it's beautiful.
I had to watch it like 3 times because I kept laughing.
Oh man. Yeah, but thank you for sharing that clip. Like, oh man, it really did make my day when I saw that. That was so good. All right, folks. I think that's it for After Action Report. Upcoming action. Right now, what we have on the roster, we've talked about it before. We have the Desert Hot Drop in Las Vegas. That's going to be September 19th to the 21st. And we have KSAG, which is going to be in December 4th to the 7th. That'll be in Minneapolis. Any other details about those 2 events, guys?
Yeah, I'll just put in another a last final plug for Desert Hot Drop 25. We've got just a couple spots open at this point. The schedule is pretty much set in stone now. Any events that place with other ones, so we're just giving more space to the events, the other events happening at the same time. So everything's pretty much set up. Get your lists in. I know as we're recording today, Alpha Strike 350 singles list should be in, and double should be in today. Let's see what else. It's just going to be a ton of fun. Lots of classic events, lots of Alpha Strike tournaments. There's non-tournament stuff. There will be Hinterlands time. There'll be a campaign in a day that uses the things we've talked about over this month and last month. Yeah, if this gets out in time and you just happen to be in Las Vegas, or you're where you're at permanently, the 19th through the 21st of September, stop in. It's at the La Quinta, just south of the airport. We have their meeting room all day, every day for those 3 days. Should be lots of fun. So hope to see you there.
Awesome. And with KSAG, we talked about it last month. Looking forward to the events going on there up in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I mean, signups are live, and we've already got about over 100 people have signed up for badges for attending KSAG. So if you haven't yet, get in there quick because events are selling out.
Sounds like it's going to be a real good one.
Yeah, the first event to sell out, actually. None other than our own Mr. Bourbon has his dinosaur tasing, hunting.
My dinosaur hunt.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. Right, Ben?
Yeah. I just spent $200 at Iron Winds and Metals buying dice for minis.
That's awesome.
It'll be great.
All right. I think we could close out then. Any final shout outs, guys, for this month?
Yeah, I'm first in line on the old notes document here, so that means it's me. So I'd just like to shout out the sponsors for Desert Hot Drop. And as an event, we've been blessed with some good sponsors, and just like to recognize them. So first and foremost, we've got Catalyst Game Labs. They are a sponsor for the event, and we're glad to have them. We've also got Aries Games and Minis. Derek has been, always generous to the community, and continuing in that, he's been generous to us for Desert Hot Drop. We've also got Thunderhead Studios. We're hoping to have some of his upcoming releases actually on our tables before anyone else gets to see them. So hopefully we get to see that. That'll be cool. We've got 8-Box Studios with their Recon Terrain. Corey over there has been generous enough to donate some of their new terrain for us to use on the Alpha Strike tables, and it looks incredible. So can't wait to show it off. And we have a new sponsor, 888TL, and this is a website that they have produced some fun stuff for BattleTech. They've got some terrain features that you can use for gaming on, such as large aircraft carriers, destroyers, a giant-sized, the rattlesnake, the rattler, as well as some other some fun printables like little restaurants like the Taco Bird, because of course you can't be a taco, but lots of little restaurants and stuff. Anyways, so great sponsors for the event. Thank you very much to those sponsors, and that's it for me.
Ben?
For me, I'm just going to shout out the KSAG planning committee organizer guys, peoples. They've been knocking it out of the park, getting things all organized for KSAG, and I've been part of some of their meetings and things like that. So it's they're on the ball doing stuff. So good job, guys, and keep up the good work. And it sounds like it's going to be a really good event. So that's all I got.
And Mike?
Shout out of just everyone in the Discord. We've had a lot of new members lately, so thank you and welcome new members. There's just been a lot of action in the voice chats, a lot of people hanging out, playing MechWarrior 5, MechWarrior Online, and you with Tabletop Simulator, you and Brent and all that. So it's just really awesome to see that. Just people hanging out, having a good time, having some good laughs. So just shout out to all of you for being awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for that. So to close out, I just want to thank all the Patreons to the Valhalla Club podcast. Your contributions really do help in the production of these episodes and getting them out. If you want to sneak peek at any of the upcoming topics, or if you would like to suggest a topic, please hop onto the Patreon. Patreon suggestions always get bumped to the top of the list. So I think we'll see you next month. Last call, gentlemen.
Last call.
Last call.
No one ever says last call like that. Don't say it like that. It's last call.
What?
Last call?
Last call?
Call?
Last call? I don't know. I don't drink.
It's the last call.
Last call. Last call? Last call. I don't know. Use one of those, Mike.
That's going to be a lot of cut. Thanks for joining us today in the Valhalla Club. If you'd like to hang out with us and many other BattleTech podcasters, then be sure to join our Discord. Link is in the description. Special thanks to our sponsor, Aries Games and Miniatures. Aries is the premier online retailer for all your BattleTech needs. If you would like to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/The Valhalla Club. If you have any comments, please feel free to send an email to thevalhallaclub@outlook.com. Until next time, Mech fans.